Hey girls, this is lesson 12 for module 6. For some reason, they skipped lesson 11. I do not know why, but that's okay. And this is a lesson for May 8th, 2020. Our I can statement, I can apply understanding of fraction equivalence to add tenths and hundredths. And remember that when we add fractions, it has to be apples to apples. It has to have a common denominator. So we're going to use our knowledge of that in order to add decimals. So this example here is actually 1A on your problem set, and we're going to look at it together. So this is the place value chart that you see in front of you. And you'll notice that they put 1/10, one disk to represent the 1/10. They put 5 discs here to represent the 5/100ths. But then what they did is they moved the 1/10 and rewrote it basically as 10/100ths, because I know that 1/10 is the same as 10/100ths. So I can easily see that 1/10 plus that 5/100ths gives me 15/100ths. Now, an easier way that we might be able to do this on a place value chart is if I have that 1/10, and if I have that 5/100ths, I know that 1/10 is 10/100ths. So I have my 5/100ths here. I've moved this over. I've moved the 1 over here as a 10. So it might be easier, instead of using the place value discs, to actually put the numbers in there. Because once you get to examples with like 2/10ths, that means you'd have to move 20 over here. 3/10ths, 30 over here. So it might be easier just to put the digit representing it versus all of those discs. So you might want to try this with letters B, C, and maybe there's a D, but I don't think there is. Or you can continue just to do the discs like they did here. So now let's go to the next, to number 2. And in number 2, they have examples like 1/10 plus 3/100ths. Well, again, it has to be apples to apples. I know that 1/10 is the same as 10/100ths. So 10/100ths plus 3/100ths equals 13/100ths. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to move on to our whiteboard to do some examples on the whiteboard. So I changed my mind. We're not going to my whiteboard yet. I want to do one more example of adding our tenths and hundredths. So this example is letter B in number 2. And we have 5/10ths plus 12/100ths. So I know I need apples to apples, and I don't have that right now. So what I'm going to do is change those 5/10ths to 50/100ths. My 12/100ths doesn't want to go where I want. My 12/100ths are already hundredths, so now I have 50/100ths. from my 5/10. I'm keeping my 12/100, and 50 plus 12 is 62/100. Now we're going to go to the whiteboard. All right, so the last part of our lesson is always on my whiteboard. So now we have 3/10 plus 6/100. Again, not apples to apples, but I know I can easily change my tenths to hundredths. 3/10 is equal to 30/100. 30/100 plus 6/100. 30 plus 6 is 36/100. I'd also like to see the answer as a decimal. There are 0 wholes and 36/100. So my answer, 36/100, 36/100 or 0.36. Next example. Now, these exact examples are not on your number 3, but you will solve number 3 problems modeling it after this. 12/100 plus 2/10. I don't have apples to apples. I'm easily going to change these tenths to hundredths. So now I have 12/100 plus 20/100. 12 plus 20 is 32/100, which in decimal form is 0.32. So finish up your lesson 12 problem set, take a picture, send it to me, and have a great weekend. Oh, and happy Mother's Day to moms and grandmas and aunts and anyone else you need to wish a happy Mother's Day.